G'day folks. What we've got here is a fairly ordinary old Lima wagon, and I'm going to attempt to give it a different identity, I suppose. So I'll do it with some artist's acrylics, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, I've got some Joe Sonia brown earth here, which I'm going to put into my little mixing tray. I just put a bit too much in there then, and it's always good to have a plastic tray because you can mix around in there, and you can also wipe off the excess paint. Now I've taken the roof off this wagon and the chassis, and I can get my fingers inside, and it's much easier to hold it that way. And the thing that we've really got to worry about here is the lettering. So what I'm going to do is attempt to cover the lettering with heavier than normal amount of paint, and we'll just see how that goes. So we'll just add paint quite liberally around here, and I'm following the line of the planks so that this paint, even though it's a bit shiny and streaky and whatever now, will leave, the brush will leave lines in the paint that sort of simulate timber grain, I suppose. Now I'm painting everything here, even the steel at the moment, the steel bracing. So we just want to cover everything up, and what we'll have to do is, once this is all done, leave that to dry. And unfortunately we're in rainy weather here at the moment, so it might take a while to do that. Okay, I've got both sides done now, and it's effectively hidden the lettering, but it's still wet. And now I'm just trying to decide on what colour to do the ends. They've got a sort of a corrugated metal end, so I suppose we should try and do something metallic on there. I'll just have to see what I've got and see what I come up with. So just bear with me while I do some thinking on that choice of colour. Right, I've decided to go with a grey for the metal ends, and what I've got now is I've got some poster paint, and I've put some white in the mixing tray, and I just want a little bit of black. I want to make this sort of dark grey colour, and I think that'll look pretty good on the end. And we'll see how, you can't see what's going on there, but yes, it's coming up fairly well. A nice dark grey would be good. I'm wondering whether to just add a dot more black to that. Actually, that looks pretty good. We'll see how we go. Okay, we've got to be a bit more careful with this because we're placing it now in between two colours. So when we get up to the edges, we'll have to be fairly careful with how we approach this. But again, it's just following the line of the corrugations and just brushing it on quite liberally. Now, I don't know whether you can see that, but this side's nearly dry. This is, we've only been doing this for 5 minutes or so, between 5 and 10 minutes, and it dries very quickly. But because of the weather conditions, the best thing to do now is just put it down and walk away. Let the thing dry properly, and then we can come back to it and start working it a bit more. There's the chassis to do as well. There's a fairly ordinary chassis, and it's got some old pivoting tension locks there, which aren't very good. I was thinking that I might be able to pop those out and then put a small backman in there. Yeah, but this chassis will be given a coat of matte black paint, and the buffers will be cleaned up and all that sort of thing. And also the roof is okay, but it could do with a bit of treatment, I think. And just a new surface on there to work with and dirty up a bit. Okay, here we are with the paint dried. I've taken the liberty of putting one coat on the roof, reasonably dark grey, and the end is darkened up as well. On an open wagon I would go over the steel here in black and do some detail, but this time I think we'll just leave it as it is, and now we'll start the process of dirtying it up. Okay, I'm going to start here with some burnt umber, so I'll just put a bit of burnt umber into my little tray there, and we might try putting some of that on with a sponge. Now here is some sponge that I cut the other day, and it's very rough, and that's good. You don't want even edges when you're doing this sort of thing, because you want random effects. So what we do is scrunch it up a bit, if that's a word, scrunch, and we'll just dip it in the paint, lose a bit of it, and just dab it on randomly in areas, just like that, and then with the other end of the sponge just give it a wipe. So what you finish up with is this dirty effect on what's already there. Now it might be more obvious on the end of the wagon, so we'll try a bit on there. There's still some left on here, still some paint left on there, and we'll dab it on and just give it a wipe downwards, and already it's starting to get that dirty effect. I hope you can see that. It's starting to get that dirty effect, but that's how we go about it. And with the wiping it off, it sort of gives it that even look. So I'll do a bit more here. I might work, see, I'm only doing one panel at a time really. Now the thing is to make sure you don't have too much paint on the sponge, and we'll just dab some on the door here, on the right hand side of the door. Now there's a little bit too much on there, but I'll wipe that off, and then I'll dab a bit more on the other side. It's not coming off, here it is, just a bit there, and wipe that, and we're getting that grubby look to it now. Actually it's not too bad really. It's difficult to see it under this light, but that's looking pretty good. And we'll do a bit more, we'll get a bit more paint, and I'll just work my way around the wagon with this sort of method, and as I say, keep it a bit random to give that sort of natural effect I suppose we're looking for. And it's coming up quite nicely there, because this colour is quite a lot darker than what's already on there. Now we'll do a bit more on the end again, on the other end. I hope I'm holding this so you can see it. It's hard to do it and run a camera at the same time, so we'll give this a couple of dabs on here, just like that. It's a bit heavy on some bits. Now we'll just give it a wipe and pull it off, and it leaves a smeared area there. We can give it a bit more work there, and maybe on this little panel at the top just give it a bit more work on there. Now we'll have a go at the roof with the same method, if you can see what I'm doing here. So I'll just do a bit on the end here, and I've got sort of a few dabs here and there. I think I might have to get some more paint. We'll just rub that off there. See how we go. Right, more paint. Right, the roof's coming up okay. I want to get some black on there now, and actually some of the paint that I put on earlier has come off, but that's okay. We'll cover that up. Right, now we'll try some black. Get rid of the excess. And put that on. I actually quite like the sort of random effect it gives using the sponge. Try a bit more on there just to hide my mistake. And a bit more around here. It's a bit too much there. So that's alright, I'll use the other end of the sponge. And this is a carbon black, so this dries very flat. It's brilliant, this paint. It's Joe Sonia. It's called Carbon Black. If you can get hold of some, if you want to do nice flat black on chassis or whatever you want to do, it's brilliant. But you got to get good quality stuff. Yeah, that's coming up. Oh, that's pretty bad. That is seriously weathered. So what I'll do is let that dry, and we'll probably go over that with something else just to sort of lighten it up and make it look more muddy. I don't know whether you guys can all see that, but anyway. And while I've got the black here, I'll put some on other bits of the wagon. There's some on there, so we'll drag that around. Bit on there, a bit on there. It's a filthy old wagon, isn't it? Wow. Now the other end. Your fingers get a bit mucky doing this as well, but you know, that's what it's all about. We're putting muck on. Not sitting around drinking tea and having cakes. We're doing a dirty job here. Right, oh, that's pretty good. Now, I'm not real happy with that roof, but we'll see how that dries up. You can always have a go at rubbing it off if it's too bad. A bit more black on here. Bit of black there. Rub it off. Just random. As I say, don't do too much at once, because it'll dry on you. It's a bit too thick there. Just a bit there, a bit down there. How are we going? Yeah. I don't know. I hope you can see all this. I'm taking a bit of a punt whilst recording this and just hoping that you can see what I'm doing. And yeah, the sponge is holding quite a bit actually. I've noticed some of the weathered, the similar wagon to this, a dipole wagon, and it's weathered. What is it, or is it Bachmann? It might be Bachmann. And one thing with the weathering that they do, it's obviously done with an airbrush, but it's a little bit, to me, it's a little bit too even. I suppose you're not going to get some poor sod sitting in a factory doing this and getting paid for it. They want something that's done fairly quickly. So I guess the airbrush is the way to go. A bit more on the ends, or leave it? Maybe just on that end up the top there. Just a bit round there. Yeah, oh yeah. Looking good. And a bit on the end here. In the corner. Yeah, coming along nicely. Now, the other thing is too, you'd never know that those GWR logos were under there. I mean, some people have to go to the trouble of taking a lot of this stuff off before they even start painting. I mean, this paint covers stuff pretty well. I'm going to leave that alone because that looks pretty good. Okay, as I say, still unsure about the roof, but we'll have a look at that when it's dried. Okay. Well, here it is in some better light, and I just thought I'd sit it on the chassis and give you a look. Yeah, I haven't touched the roof or anything yet. This is just, as I said before, I wasn't too sure about the roof. And there's the other end. There you go. And the sides, the other side's very similar. It's getting the business really. Still got a bit to go though. Okay, that's not too bad, I think. Okay, folks, the roof is not too bad. I'll add some lighter colour to that as I go later on. But at the moment, I've got some gold oxide here, which I'm going to use with the sponge again, and just insinuate a bit of rust here and there. And I'm putting it mainly on the raised pieces of the metal, and just giving it a flick here and there. Some of it's getting onto the wood, that doesn't matter. Just do that as we go along, and give it a bit of a wipe here and there. Now, I'm going to try and get it on most of the metal. So we'll put some on the corner here. Just give it a touch, and then wipe some of it off. That doesn't look too bad actually. Maybe a bit in the middle here. And on the ends where there's more metal, and just a little dab leaves what looks like sort of spots of rust. Sorry, I moved it out of the shot there. And we can do this all the way around. Just giving it a flick and a wipe here and there. Just to build up the different layers and different colours of what we're trying to do here. Get a bit more paint and wipe some of it off into the tray, and we'll do this end just lightly and wipe off what's not required. You can always come back later and touch up if you want to. That doesn't look too bad. Can you see that now? It's if I get it in the light correctly, it's coming along. And I was thinking about doing some on the roof, but I'm not sure yet. So that's looking okay there. Now this time I've grabbed a fresh piece of foam rubber, because the other's got all colour on it, and this time I'm using a bit of white, and we really don't want to get too much contamination with the white from other colours, so we'll just try this on the roof just to see how it goes. Give it a few dibs and dabs there and wipe off the excess, and a couple more dibs and dabs here and there. Again, wiping off what we don't require. This wagon's really had a bit of a hard life, and what the white's doing is actually breaking down that excessive black on the roof. I had a little bit too much there, I think, and this is helping to spread that and dilute it, I suppose. It's giving quite a good result. Looks like a poor old roof's had a hard time. I might need some a bit more grime on there as well. Yeah. So we can carry on around to the sides of the wagon with some of this this white. Again, I'm wiping off the excess. Now moving to the sides of the van. Just excuse my silence, I'm trying to line this up with the camera so you guys can see what I'm doing. I might have to try and set this up in some better way, but you can see I'm putting it on and very quickly just wiping what I put on there. And the white really adds something to it. I think it's, I don't know why, it just to me it looks better. It looks as though it's been knocked around a bit. So that's one side done, and to keep it consistent we'll go right round. Just lose a bit of paint there. The thing you can gather from this is that there's so little paint going on, yet it's just enough to change the palette here of what we're looking at. Now we're back to the opposite side of the van. Feel like I've got a bit too much white there, but we'll see how it goes on. When you're putting the paint on like this, it's pretty much dry as soon as you've done it, because there's so little on there. And it's coming up quite well actually. This is a bit of a, I possibly could do better than this. I suppose I'm not concentrating like I would if the camera wasn't running, but still in all it's coming up quite well. It's wiping on wiping off a lot of the time, just to add that palette of different colours of dirt and grime into what we're looking at here. So I guess that's not focused, but you can see that the roof looks pretty drastic. Actually looks better than it does on the camera, I would think. I might give it a bit more on the top there. Right. That's one seriously weathered wagon. Right, here we are. This has really had a hard life, this wagon. And you're seeing probably a well-lit version of it. Look at the roof. My God. What's going on there? Where's it been? There you go. Look at that. Now the chassis hasn't been done, or the wheels. The buffers need to be rubbed back again to get those mould lines off there. And maybe a bit more grime of the darker colours on the ends and everything. It looks quite light on this screen, but there you go. It's getting there. A bit more work required, I think. So essentially, that's it. I mean, the thing that the weathering really is up to you, what you want to do, what you want it to look like. But these are the techniques. This one's a bit extreme, I think. It looks like it's had 50,000 pigeons living on the roof of it for a while. But yeah, things happen. So there you go, folks. We might leave it at that. Cheers, gourmet. Okay folks, here's some morning after shots where it's all dried now. And what I did last night after I stopped filming was that I went back and I did a wash with some of the paint, very thin, a bit like watercolour, only thinner than watercolour, and I just washed it over the roof and then dabbed it off with a bit of dry foam rubber, and it sort of evened the roof out a bit, but at the same time leaving it looking really realistic, as though it's old and really worn. And I put some of the wash on the sides of the wagon as well, just to it's almost just like water, but it's got a bit of colour in it, and it just effectively stains it just a bit more and evens out the grime, if you like. But I think that's come up pretty good. I'll take some still photos so it looks even better. Okay, cheers gourmet. Right folks, we've sorted out the wagon, and the top has been done. It's come up quite satisfactorily, so we'll now move on to the chassis. So we'll see how that goes. Right, the first thing we'll do is a bit of a job on the wheels, I think. I've put some old Hornby ones on there, the wide wheels with the deep flanges, and it's plastic inserts, all that sort of thing. So I'm taking a bit of brown earth, and it's a Joe Sonia again, and I've never done this before with wheels, so you know, this is new. We'll see how that goes. I'm using a smaller brush this time, so I'm just going to paint the wheels and try and avoid the pivoting end where that goes into the bearing. And I know painting wheels, that's stupid, isn't it? Because it'll wear off, but it'll only wear off where it's making contact with the rail, which is good. The rest of it should stay coloured, hopefully. So yeah, we'll get that on there. Looks a bit like old rust, I suppose, but we can do a bit of work on these wheels and get them looking pretty schmick, I hope. We'll see. And I think I'll do the backs as well. Fiddly little suckers they are. Do the backs, and because, you know, sometimes you can see under the wagons, and you know, you just don't want to see it. I might even do this axle here just to follow the theme. And we're going to do the job. We might as well do the whole job. Now I'll just turn it around so I can hold it and do the other one. This is fairly easy, actually. I guess probably it would be better to spray them, but we're not doing spraying at this stage. We're trying out this method with brushes just to see how it goes. Now a bit on the back. And yeah, obviously we'll clean up the wheel treads a bit once it's all dry. Maybe even just by running it on some rail. I don't know. Anyway, that's one done. So I'll do the other one and then we'll try something else. Okay, I've just given the chassis a coat of matte black, and I've also cleaned up the ends of the buffers, got the mould lines off, and given them a dab with silver, which is from one of these pens that you can buy. You can probably get them at newsagents. I got mine from Aldi. It's one of these things where you push on the tip and silver flows down to the end and just dab it on. It's sort of like paint. They're quite good. You can get them in silver and gold, so I've got a couple of silvers and a couple of golds of those. Yeah, so the chassis is done. It actually looks quite a lot better than the plastic look anyway. You know, if you did nothing else, this is just an improvement to the chassis. So, and we've got our wheels drying off here. They look pretty good as they are. Pretty dirty. Obviously the treads have got to be cleaned up, but there you go. So now we might move on to dirtying up the chassis a bit. So we'll do a bit of work on that. Okay, to start dirtying up the chassis, I'll take some brown earth, and I'll use a small brush, but I'm leaving the brush very well. I'll actually put some water. Actually, I'll use the bigger brush to do the water. I'll put some water in the tray here, just coming off the brush, and I'll take some of the brown earth and move it into the water, so it's like a watercolour mix. It's very watery. And then we take the chassis and just literally wash it on. That's a bit too much colour there actually. Now spread it, the watery part, even spread it right across the bits and pieces here. Don't worry about it. You can even put some up onto the top here. Just work it in. Maybe even a bit more water to thin it out, so I'm getting some water on the brush and just washing it across here. Just to muck it up a bit. Now, how's that look? Okay. Right. It's a bit hard to see, I suppose, on the screen there, but that's the process anyway. So I'll go around and do the other side. Same method, just very watery sort of mix, and just literally drag it all over it. And because it's watery, it's thin, and so the black's still showing through, and it just looks like it's picked up rubbish along the way, and it's just dried on there. Right. Now I should do something similar on the ends. Just carry the theme all the way around. So I'll wash it on the beam there, and we might even drag a little bit across the nice shiny buffers. Can't have them looking too good. See, it's just a hint on there, and already they've got that slightly dirty, rusty appearance. It's okay. And same on this end. Just a bit on the buffers, a bit on the beam, and generally around the joint here. Right. Now we'll have to let that dry, so then it won't take long. It won't take long at all. And then we'll come back to it with something else, probably a bit of rust, I suppose. Okay. Right, the chassis is dried off enough. It's only taken a few minutes. What we'll do is add some gold oxide with the sponge this time. The same method as used before on the wagon top, and we'll try and put this on and simulate some rust, and wipe it off as we go. Not too bad. And around onto the buffer area. I'll get a bit more paint on and lose a bit. Now, that's not too bad. Actually, I quite like that. And around the top here. How's that look? Not too bad, I suppose. Now, to the other side. And we'll do a few dibs and dabs on here. And a bit of wiping off. That's not too bad. One set of buffers. Oh, we've got to do the other end. The other buffers. Yuck. Picked up a bit of black there. Now I'll just turn the sponge around a bit. Now, have I got enough to do it? Yep. Okay, I might just get a bit more paint. It's always the way, you just miss out by just a fraction. Just a fraction, that's all it takes. It's very hard to estimate sometimes just how much you're going to use. Now, where was I? This end, I think. Let's get a bit on there. Now, yeah, that's better. That's better. Right. Now, I might just visit this side and put a couple more bits on there. And I think that'll do. Maybe one more there. One there. Yep, that'll do, I think. Well, here we are, folks. It's pretty much done. Down to, I've even scraped the wheel treads to can't really wear the paint off on the track. I'd rather not do that. So I scraped the wheel treads, but the rest of the wheels are all mucked up and everything, as in muck on them. And you can see when you look underneath the wagon that everything looks alright under there, and the buffers are suitably rusted up a bit. So I'll take a couple of still photos and that'll show it better. Well, folks, that's the end of that. Obviously the couplings still have to be done. That's no big deal. I've got to get some long shank backmans to suit this. I tried fitting, I've got the short shank ones, but you don't get enough clearance from them. Also, they need to be lowered a bit, so I've got to sort that out. But this gives the wagon a bit of context with the other two wagons I did. Yeah, and then you can see a brand new, well, semi-brand new next to it. It's rather clean, isn't it? These ones are rather clean. Well, somebody's must have done something with this one in the past, because there's a bit of black paint inside there. Don't know what that's all about. Maybe it had a load in there. A load would improve these, I think. And then, you know, the question arises, have I got the guts to weather these beautiful little wagons, especially this one. This is a little ripper. It's in great condition. Anyway, that's another story, isn't it? So there we are, putting it back into context. You see, these wagons will be part of my little heritage railway, so I mean, if this one looks a bit rough and ready, well, it's got to be restored, hasn't it? It's part of a heritage railway and it's got to be restored, so there you go. Alright then, that's it. That's my journey through weathering a fairly ordinary looking wagon, and the work that's gone into it has resulted in a fairly ordinary looking wagon. Okay, leave it with you. Cheers, Gormo.